Hi guys, so before I start, I know what you're thinking. Oh my god, what is this girl talking about? She's just trying to find an excuse not to practice. Well, calm down. Let me explain. I'm currently a university student, and right after graduating high school, I moved out of my parents. And I quickly found out that there are some landlords who like to put a no musical instrument clause in their contract. Or there are roommates who would rather listen to your finished product and not all the steps that you have to take in order to get there. Like, even if you have permission from your building manager, you're completely open with your roommates about it, and you only practice during business hours. I know it's very rare to find yourself in this specific situation where practicing is that bad, but just in case, I've come up with a few ideas in order to get some practice in, and so you don't get evicted. Number one, the obvious solution is to use a practice mute. But the problem with this is that it changes the timbre of your instrument, so it kind of sounds really weird when you finally get around to taking it off and practicing normally. It also sometimes doesn't make your instrument quiet enough for your neighbors. It really all depends on the acoustics and soundproofing in your room. Number two, half mental, half physical practice. So what you do is play like you normally would with your left hand, but you don't actually bow it with your right. So if you hit hard enough with your fingers, you should be able to hear it. I'm not sure if you actually can on camera, so like that. And you can try plucking it, but that might be too loud too. So it's okay to use just your fingers. This can also be helpful for bow distribution because it's easier to think about where your hand is without actually having your bow. However, since the notes aren't being sustained, they are a lot harder to make sure that you're actually being in tune. So I would suggest not doing this very often, otherwise you might instill bad habits with the left hand. Number three, set your music by counting through the rhythms like this. So here's the Dvorak string quartet. You should really pick either eighth notes or 16th notes to subdivide. I kind of do a half and half mixture because I'm kind of weird that way. But here's how I would do it. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 1 E and a 1 and 2 and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Number four, now that you've thoroughly annoyed yourself with number three, you can try clapping the rhythm. Now, I don't mean the annoying clapping like how you want at a concert, because, that would probably bother your neighbors even more. I mean, just kind of a light clap, just to yourself, just so you can feel that rhythm and pulse. So, if I were to clap the Dvorak rhythm, it would be like this. So if you're still unsure of your rhythm, what you can do is practice this with a metronome, of course, using headphones so you don't disturb your neighbors with that annoying tick. The other thing you can do is practice the rhythm with your right hand while simultaneously clapping the beat with your left hand. If you're a pianist, this shouldn't be too much of a problem for you, but for the rest of us, it's actually quite challenging. So if I tried this with the Dvorak, it should be like this. I find this left and right clapping thing really useful because often you'll find little rhythmical errors that you weren't even aware that you're making before, and it'll really help to correct that. Number five, mental practice. So you can do this while listening to a flawless recording of your repertoire or not. And basically, you just close your eyes and visualize yourself playing your piece perfectly, and you really focus in on every little trouble spot and the hand stretching things, the intonation things, the bow distribution things that you should always be focusing on while you're playing. Now, this might seem a little pointless, but I swear it does help a lot, especially if you're just sitting on a bus doing nothing. When you think about it, all music happens in your mind. Everything else is just telling your body what to do in order to get it out. So if you have your mind perfectly prepped, you're one step closer to being able to play perfectly. Number 6, singing your repertoire. I find if I sing like very softly to myself, it doesn't really bother my neighbors as much as playing my instrument would. Singing also really helps with memorizing, intonation, and just figuring out your natural phrasing of the piece. Number 7, musicianship, something that every music major knows very well. And if you're doing Royal Conservatory exams, you should probably be practicing this anyways. What I find is easiest to do by yourself is interval identification using either an app or a website. Personally, I like to go to either musictheory.net or Theoria, and they just ask you random intervals and you just click the right answers. Of course, use headphones. So that was some of my ideas of what you can do when you can't actually practice. If you want to see my last talking video, it'll be here. If you want to see my last playing video, it'll be here. If there are any ideas you have that I didn't cover or have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments below. And if you liked this video, do what every other YouTuber asks you to do and click this thing.